Hi, my name is Mary. I'm a compulsive overeater. And like you all, I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I write it down, committed to my sponsor or someone else with 90 days of back-to-back gray sheet abstinence. I don't eat in between meals no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life today. And I'm abstinent today by the grace of God and the fellowship of this community. And today, by the grace of God, I have 9,146 days. And no one more surprised than me that I do this a day at a time. Quick where I came from, I grew up in Michigan. I'm the fifth of 11 children, good Catholic family. I ran around, so I didn't have the outward manifestation of this disease because we were always outside playing. But when my body changed, so did my self-esteem. I was very shy. And in fact, I still am. And I say this to people and they go, yeah, right. But it takes a lot for me to introduce myself or put myself out there. And especially when I came to Gray Sheet, I was extremely intimidated because I came into the New York City community. And let me tell you, that can be very intimidating. But what I got was pure relief, instant relief from that noise in my hair. Where to go? What to do? Instant relief. And I'm grateful for that because that's what has kept me in Gray Sheet. And I heard that when I came into the community, they told me that relapse is not a requirement in this program. So I know from people have, and that's okay. In fact, the first time I heard at a meeting, somebody said there's plenty of people who do the research for you. I thought it was the meanest thing, but I get it. Now, for me, I was done. When I got here, I was so done. Tried every diet under the sun. Wednesday night was a particular meat product on the Scarsdale diet. I had a job where there was an executive kitchen where I actually was cooking at night because I was worked a lot of overtime. But so when I came here, and the minute I put my food on a scale and in a cup, like I said, that noise in my head, where to go? What to do? It stopped and has stayed stopped. But, the amazing thing about Gray Sheet for me is not like, okay, here's the food plan, you're on your own. It's like, oh, no, you can't even get that unless you have a sponsor. And then, the sponsor explains everything to you. So I'm like, okay. And in fact, it was a Gray Sheeter who brought me into the Gray Sheet community. And I, would say, well, I get this. I'm like, what do you mean you get this? I go, well, that's what my sponsor said. Well, you better check that. I was like, okay, call my sponsor. And I had one of those sponsors, listen, I told you, don't ask again. This is what we do. And that's it. Okay. So I'm like, all right, and I was enough fear in me so that I did write my food down every day, and I still write my food down the night before because I call my sponsor in the morning. And when I first got abstinent, I would be in my kitchen and I would be weighing and measuring my dinner or whatever. And I had my book with me and I would eat my dinner and then I would go over it again. And I would say, okay, I have 4 ounces of this, okay, I'm good. And for me, it was getting into that, a good habit, that healthy habit. Because I'm a Capricorn, and I don't know if anybody else is a Capricorn. I thrive on structure. So when I got here, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. This is a very good relationship for me. I didn't understand why I had to go to meetings because I didn't, I don't have a horrible food story. And that's why, when I first came, I was very shy about raising my hand, but I had to raise my hand at these face-to-face meetings when I was counting days. I was terrified. I said, please don't anybody ever know my name. Please don't call on me. And so I finally get 90 days. I'm doing my 90-day qualification, which by the way, I had triple spaced and typed out. And before anybody realized, I was saying seventh tradition. And they're like, what did she say? What did she say? And so, in fact, I remember speaking at a meeting, and I was also taught that if somebody asks you to do service, you do service. And it was like, okay. And I remember doing speaking at a meeting on the Upper West Side. I think it was the Y at 63rd Street. And I finished, I did my qualification after the meeting, and somebody with a lot of time, and she's still in the program with lots of time. said, you better come up with a better story than that. And I was like, what do I do? It's my story. Sorry. You know, and I have to tell you that being here, it was scary, I have to say. But that relief from the obsession, that's what kept me here. And I've learned over the years, you know, we can be the nicest to each other, or we can also be the cruelest. I've also had some people, when I was the chair of Gray Sheet World Service, questioning my abstinence. And somebody just asked me recently, well, how'd you get through that? I say, I waited, measured my food, and I prayed. What am I going to do? I'm not going to leave because somebody's talking about me. You know, it's happened before, it'll happen again. But you know what? Nobody's going to push me out of this community because I'm abstinent as defined on the Gray Sheet. I've done a lot of different things over the years. And I have to tell you, when I first got abstinent and people started like paying attention to me, it was a little scary, both men and women. In fact, I was just sharing with somebody earlier today. I said, when I would change jobs, I said, not only now that I'm abstinent, not only do I have to come out as a lesbian, but I also have to come out as a compulsive eater. So I get the double whammy. So, you know, because people at my job, they always want to feed me. Do you want this? No, I'm good. I'm good. No, it's really good. I said, I take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. So, and over the years, I've gone to this women's festival. It's really sad, but because of COVID-19, it was canceled. And I've been going to this festival as long as I've been abstinent. So this would have been my 25th year. And I would Ziploc my meals, all 3 meals for 7 days. I would also, of course, take my scale and cup and things like that, but very rarely. It was kind of a earthy, crunchy festival. And so their idea of vegetarian was not abstinent. So, you know, I just felt it was easier for me to bring my meals. And because I wasn't taking any chances with my abstinence. And I remember somebody said something one time, because I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Dorian Gray, the movie. The people at this festival, they want to come into my room because they want to see the portrait in the closet, because they say, Mary, you look younger every year. So for me, you know, this fellowship is the fountain of youth. In fact, I got a haircut last week. This is really my festival cut. It just all comes off. And I'm very grateful. And sometimes when I get really aggravated at work, I said, you know, I just need to get a haircut. Because sometimes it feels like the only thing I have control over. Some of the gifts of this program is that in August, I will celebrate 20 years with my lovely bride, which we got married in 2012 because they legalized. Somebody says, how come you didn't get married sooner? I said, they only legalized it in 2011. And of course, she wanted a ring and a dress, so we had to save up for that. And the crazy thing is that a week after we got married, we found out she had breast cancer. So I had to go through the whole breast cancer thing. She had a double mastectomy that October. A week later, we had Hurricane Sandy. It was just like crazy. But the year before, I had learned transcendental meditation. So I was grateful for that. It's a solid step 11. And let me tell you, for me, I would not have accepted the chair of Gray Sheet World Service in 2016 and I'd already been meditating for 5 years, because, you know, it's a stress reliever. It's amazing. If you do it, do it. If you've learned it before, just start again. Or as I say, there's no bad way to meditate. There's no bad way to meditate unless you don't. So it really helped me get through a lot of things. And unfortunately, you know, that when my wife had her double mastectomy, it threw her right into menopause. So there was a lot of things going on. I was out of work for 5 years. And then also during that time, after I started working again, I got shingles, and I was taking medication for 5 years. I gained 30 pounds. And let me tell you, after 20 years of abstinence, boy, if that didn't rock my world. And how'd you get through it, Mary? I said, a way to measure my food, and I prayed. And I went to meetings, I raised my hand, and I told, you know, whoever would listen, this is what's going on. I had a job a temp job for about 8 weeks. And this guy was so horrible. How
10
horrible
minutes.
was he? Thanks. He was so horrible that he asked me to do something, and I questioned what he asked me. He says, Mary, are you dyslexic or just retarded? Okay, so it was like, and at the time I'm abstinent, and I would go to the Catholic Church to meditate at lunchtime, and I would go to meetings, and I would raise my hand, and a lot of people say, I come to meetings because I want to hear the Bob to God story, because his name was Bob, and I said, just give Bob to God, Bob to God. I'm also known as Marathon Mary, not because I talk a lot, but because I have trained for and run in 13 abstinent marathons. It's 26.2 of the longest miles you can imagine. Also Tool Belt Mary, because like I said, this program, I don't just get a sponsor, I get a gray sheet, I get literature, I get I have scales, cups, I can cup or weigh, a community that is, that's why when I hear about people leaving, I go, why? You people are my family. Every one of you helps me stay abstinent every day. Because also, my parents have passed away since I've been abstinent. And boy, if that didn't rock my world, it was crazy. But I got the word, and my wife says, you got a cup, you got a scale, you got a spoon? Okay, let's go in the car. And I drove to Michigan when my mom had a stroke. It was in April, and that June she passed away. And it was horrible. But my eating a carbohydrate was not going to bring her back to life. My dad, it wasn't going to cure my wife's, certainly wasn't going to cure my wife's breast cancer. And it was a hard 5 years when I was out of work and she was, where she was. And I wouldn't go to meetings. I said, the woman I live with is not the woman I married. And I would even say to her, you need to leave. My wife is very jealous, so you need to leave before she gets here, okay? And I kept saying, I said, and she says, well, we can always break up. I said, we are not going to be the first lesbians on the block to get divorced. She goes, Mary, we're the only lesbians. I said that it's not the point. The point is that if I weigh and measure my food, things come around. Like I said, we'll celebrate 20 years. I have gotten so many gifts to this program, so many, and it's been hard. But I can tell you, as God is my witness, no one has ever died from abstinent pain. Okay, it just feels like it. And so as long as I make the phone call, get out my book, take a drink of water, and if you're, I mean to say this a lot, if you feel that you're hungry, more often than not, you're dehydrated. Drink a glass of water. And it's amazing because the first thing, if somebody has to go to the hospital, the first thing they do is they hook you up on a saline drip because people come in there and they're dehydrated. So it's something that simple. So this is a simple program for complicated people. When I got here, people told me, just weigh and measure your food. And I said, but, and they would say, no, Mary, just weigh and measure your food. Because if you weigh and measure your food, you'll get that life beyond your wildest dreams, like it says on the gray sheet. And I have worked the steps. I worked the steps because for me, the steps are the now what of the programs. Like, okay, I lost the weight. Now what? How do I get from A to B? Okay, how do I deal with people, places, and things that haven't changed just because I'm not eating in between meals? So. It's a gift I give myself every day. I'm so glad you do this with me because I certainly can't do it by myself. With that, I'll pass. Thank you very much.